Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here today to share another verse with you to hopefully bring some encouragement to you and help your day be a better day. This morning, I'd like to look at Psalm 119 and verse 18. Now, Psalm 119 is the longest psalm in the Bible. It has, I'm looking it up as I talk, it has 176 verses. So it's not surprising there might be a lot of good stuff in this place. But today I want to look at just one of these multiple verses. Sort of sticks out to me, and maybe after we're finished it'll help you out too. So Psalm 119 verse 18 reads this way. Open my eyes to see the wonderful truths in your instructions. Let me read that again. Open my eyes to see the wonderful truths in your instructions. Okay, there are three parts to this. There's open my eyes to see the truth, number two, and three, in your instructions. So let's take a look at each one of these. Open my eyes to see. We see a lot of things, but we don't see a lot of things too. In fact, we can be looking right at something and not even notice it. And that happens with little things and big things. Recently, I had a friend who was traveling around in a different part of the country than this one. And the friend wrote back and said, I never really knew how poor some people could be. Well, that idea strikes me as kind of strange. Where I've lived and where I've worked, I've been around a lot of really, really poor people. And if you think there are a lot of poor people in this country, well, go to some of what's known as the two-thirds world, the world south of the equator, where two-thirds of the world's people live, and you'll find poverty that you never imagined. I remember back in 1984, I was in Bolivia, and I was talking with a Bolivian who was driving the vehicle I was running around with, and we got to talking. His name was Bernabé. And he said, I don't understand how North Americans don't care about poor people down here. And I said, well, let me give you an illustration. My brother, who grew up in the same house I did, but has some very different ideas about life than I do. I said, my brother has never met a single poor person in his life. And he looked shocked. He said, that's not possible. I said, well, yeah, unfortunately it is. I said, he doesn't know one single poor person by name or by situation. So as far as he can see, there aren't any except people who are lazy. Well, you and I get into the same boat. We see, but we don't see. How many people have you seen who are really, really struggling in life? Well, probably a whole lot less than what are really out there. You just didn't notice. And we all know about communication problems when a, a spouse or a member of our family says something and we don't even hear it. Now, I know the old joke about hearing aids, but a lot of times with my wife, and she says, did you hear me? The answer is no. And it wasn't because the sound waves weren't there, it's because I wasn't paying attention. So we cannot see because we're not paying attention. Doesn't mean that what we're not seeing isn't there. just means we don't see it. So in this part of the passage, the psalmist says, open my eyes to see. Okay, now, what is it they want to see? It says the wonderful truths. What's truth? Well, in our world today, truth seems to be whatever the most people make noise about. I mean, a few years ago, it would seem silly that someone would believe something that was blatantly untrue. But today, with modern spin doctors and and bully pulpits of people of whatever persuasion, they can keep saying it and saying it and saying it until you believe it, even if it's not true. And those folks who do that are really good at it. Now, are they deliberately trying to hide the truth? Well, yes, I think so. But they've already decided that the truth is what they want to see. And the hardest truth to see is a truth that you don't want to see. Okay, third part. Open my eyes to see the wonderful truths in your instructions, in God's instructions. How many times have you watched a sporting event and the players don't do what the coach said to do? Now you see the coaches, particularly in basketball, where it's a smaller arena and you can see them. They're ranting and raving, screaming, and hollering. And sometimes I think that's just absurd. People are not machines; they make mistakes. But when they deliberately don't do what they're told, of course, they find out that the coach really knew what they were talking about. You see, if you want to listen to somebody who has the truth, then you got to go along with it. You got to understand that they know what they're talking about. We laugh around my house. I have this saying. I shouldn't say we because it's me. But whenever Faith decides that I'm just not, doesn't know what I'm talking about, and I turn out to be right, which isn't always, may not even be most. But I have this little phrase. I said, don't argue with the big dog. Now, since I'm a lot bigger than she is, I'm the big dog. She's the beautiful wife. But the point is, don't argue with the person who knows what they're talking about. If you're a player on a team, don't argue with the coach unless you're really sure the coach has lost it, which might happen, but not very often. Don't argue with those who have more experience and act like they don't know what they're talking about. Now, you have to understand that the person who holds the knowledge, the coach or whatnot, they have to be sure to not let their ego get in the way either. Sometimes that doesn't happen also. But the point being here, the psalmist says, and this is what I'd like for you to take away today. Open my eyes so that I can see what's really there, not just what I want to see. The wonderful truths, not the truths that I want to be held truthful, the truths that are actually truthful. In this case, the teachings of God. And do this so that I will follow your instructions. One thing I've learned about being a Christian, God knows what he's doing. I may not know what he's doing, but he knows what he's doing. And whenever my plans don't fall in line with his plans, well, the only alternative really is I need to change my plans. So you think about that today. Hope you have a really great day. I'll be back tomorrow with another idea. And I hope and pray that if you have a need and we might be able to help you with it, you let us know because we'll do whatever we can as fast as we can. Thanks for listening. I'll be back again.